I'm joined by Jack Nolan of Midlands Radio to talk about the Laois football team heading into the 2021 season. Jack, you spoke with Mike Quirke, the manager, last week, and he's got a fairly fit and healthy panel. Unlike Cheddar Plunkett, who's had an awful lot of injuries with the hurler, the lads are looking hale and healthy.
There's no question about that, and I couldn't believe when we did a Zoom call and we had two players and himself in, and he was absolutely enthused, and mad to go, and what was back 2 weeks. But he said all the players came back in massive shape, and one of the things about the lockdown, he said, was that the players really worked and they did the strength and conditioning work that they wouldn't have been able to do if they had been training. And I suppose this is one of the things we make talk about it. All modern teams now, it's all about strength and conditioning, where maybe it wasn't 10 or 15 years ago. But they're all mad to come back in, mad to go, came out in the field, hopping off one another. There was no social distancing. But as he says himself, it's well and good and dandy to be fit and to have strength and to have be in top shape. But he then has to transfer that into playing football and the skills of the game and playing as a team. And I suppose that's something that has dropped in Laois in the past couple of years.
Why do you think that is?
It's difficult, hard to know. Every manager came in and said they wanted more time. When they were appointed maybe in October, and they didn't start until November. And they were saying, "Oh, we didn't have time to do strength and conditioning, and we were straight into the league and the championships." And when it had come run out of steam in the last 10 minutes of a game somewhere, that lack of training and that lack of conditioning. Now, having said that, Mike Quirke came in last year and probably retained the Division 2 status because they finished well in games. So that wasn't a problem last year. But, retaining the Division 2 status last year, maybe by some foul means, so we say the game they won or get points they got them, they shouldn't have gotten, all of that. At least they got them and they're there. And I suppose the main thing is to retain that status. Now, this year, only a 4-team group. They have Clare away next is a Saturday week. They have Cork and Kildare at home. So big games. And if they could win 2 out of 3 of those games, I think that I asked him exactly what would be a successful year for him. And was a bit stunned by it. And he said, I think basically his bottom line was not winning anything, but improving the standard of team play and the skill set of all the players. And I suppose as a coach, that's what Mike is looking at.
Yeah, because last year he didn't have Paul Kingston for a while, and I think he came back later on. Donie Kingston, the totemic player of the team, 6'4", brilliant footballer, he opted out for the year, but he's back again. Still, he's 30 years of age as far as I know, so he can still have a massive impact. So I'd imagine Mike feels like he has more of a full hand this year.
No question about that. The only player still missing, I suppose, is Stephen Atroyd, who was the captain for the previous 3 or 4 years. And Stephen took time out from his teaching in Knockbeg and went off travelling. I think he would have been home, but for the pandemic. But anyway, he's still missing. Ross Munnelly is still there, heading for his 40s. Mark Timmins is still playing, and he had a brilliant year last year at full back. And I suppose Colin Begley, he was missing Colin all last year as well, right throughout the year through injuries, and was threatening to come back and never did make it. And he's back fully fit. But I think the return of Donie Kingston up front will be a huge boost to the team. And if Donie is in as good a shape as the rest of the players are that Mike has spoken about is in, that will be a big, big bonus, because Donie had a couple of injuries over the past couple of years. And for a big man, inclined maybe to put on a little bit of condition. And if he has done the strength and conditioning work on his back end, they're fully fit. He's just going to be a massive boost.
And the draw for the Leinster Championship this year sees Laois against Westmeath. Are you happy with that draw? Is it the right test for this Laois?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I mean, they played last year, over the last couple of years, Westmeath gave them a 1 or 2 trimmings in league games and that. Laois have had maybe the upper hand in the championship. Westmeath beat them in the league final in Croke Park and that Division 3 final, under John Chuckrew 2 years ago now. But that will focus the minds. There'll be very, very little between them. And I suppose the fact that there's no backdoor this year, there's no second round, Laois and Westmeath are in against one another in the championship. Whoever wins goes into a semi-final and a semi-final draw, so you don't know who you're playing. You still don't know whether you're going to be Dublin on your side or not. But that will certainly focus the mind. It's one shot, in or out, the loser is finished for the year.
Yeah, I was at I think it was a qualifier in Thurles a couple of years ago when Cork put maybe 4 goals against Laois. That was John Sugrew's final game. And like it's been a rough all road for Mike Quirke, with the pandemic and not getting his players as often as he would like, as it has been for many other managers. Do you think he's in in a really good place now to show out this Laois team well for the season ahead? Like you said, they've all that time to do gym work, and I suppose
Yeah, well,
like
unlike Cheddar, who is coming into the hurling, and has no time to prepare and no time to set, Mike at least has a year's work done, and a year's work where he was pretty satisfied about it. I suppose at the end of it all, retaining that Division Two status, which was big, and doing pretty well enough in the championship. So okay, the final game against Dublin, Dublin, and nobody else would have done probably any better in Leinster. So he was mad to get back, and he was talking about building for the future. I asked him in Croke Park, standing in the stand, what does Laois have to do to get to Dublin standard? And he just said you have to work hard, and it's all about now. As I say, if he has the players as fit as he says he has them, and they're in that type of shape, then it's all about getting them to play a style of football that will win games, and and particularly win games will maybe stop teams from doing something else.
And the way obviously Dublin have been so dominant in Leinster, as things are going forward, do you want that Leinster competition to continue in the hope that someday Laois can bridge the gap, or do you think a different competition, different structure is the way to go forward?
Oh, absolutely not. I think the Leinster Championship is sell by date is well gone, And when Laois won it in 2003 after 47 years, and people were talking about winning and winning again. I remember walking down Main Street in Portage on the Monday and met two old lads there who were, two lads who were living outside the county, formerly from Laois, one living in Kenny, one living in Waterford in the hurling country, and they were up to savour the atmosphere. And they said to me, we're up to savour this because we might never see it again. So Leinster titles are hard to come by. Laois, probably should have won 3 out of 4 in that time. Paddy O'Shea's Westmeath, beat them after a replay. But that's it. But I think, the way things have gone, and I thought maybe during the pandemic it would have focused the minds in Croke Park to look at it, look at a different type of draw, look at a championship for the 32 counties. I don't think there's anything to be gained in any province by continuing with it. Maybe Ulster is very, very competitive, but the other 3 provinces are just so much imbalanced. It really has no future.
That's great stuff, Jack. And just a reminder to anyone and their club that are looking to do a fundraiser this year, our game can do them for you with a live virtual show hosted on Zoom. It'll be all about your club. We'll get some good guests on there and set up the ticketing platform for you, raffle tickets as well if you like. So email events@ourgame.ie.